got the cornfield calm, Midwest tone, but he's spitting facts like a dog with a bone. Lanky frame, fire-haired, eyes on the case, breaking down the game in the darkest place. Sports scores to murder boards, Hoosier logic cuts like swords. From Friday lights to chalked out lines, this redhead's brain rewrites the lines inside the Hoosier mind, where the stories twist and stats unwind. He's a legend in flannel, mic in hand, digging deep where few can stand. From touchdowns to crime scenes raw, he's got the truth in every draw. Yeah, step in if you dare to find what's brewing inside the Hoosier mind. He'll talk Pacers, Colts, or Colts on trial. Hoosier humor with a devilish smile. He's that redhead sleuth with a box of clues. Takes your headline, breaks the news. With every stat and every scream, he's painting portraits in your stream. Don't blink, he'll tie it tight. From game night wins to murder flight. Inside the Hoosier mind, where the facts hit hard and the lines are blind. He's a ginger ninja, smooth and slick, cracking cases play by play quick. From courtrooms to the hardwood floor, he digs for more than just the score. Tune in and don't rewind, you're deep now inside the Hoosier mind.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome into Inside the Hoosier Mind, brought to you by Military Broadcast Radio, helping give veterans a voice, and Gunfighter Beard Co., helping great beards look great. Also supports a Marine out of South Carolina, all made here in good old US of A. Back with Mike. We're back for 2 weeks in a row, buddy, even amidst this super off season for the NFL.
We're streaking. We're streaking. It doesn't matter how we do it or when we do it. We're streaking.
We're streaking. We're showing everything that we got off. It ain't much, but we showing it.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Pause.
Showing everything you taking off. What do you mean by that? This is a wrong channel. That's the After Dark show.
Say we need the Drewski. What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Or the new Drewski. Can't make jokes about that. Can't make jokes.
Right. But nonetheless, though, we got some stuff to talk about because we got some wild stuff going on in college football that kind of crosses some weird boundaries. And it's funny now to see all of the backtracking that's happening as a result of it. Yeah. And then Mike came up with a really good idea of whenever the Heisman voting comes up and the Heisman Trophy comes about, everybody's like, they're advocating for who they believe should get it, who they shouldn't get it. We compare to past winners and past guys who did or did not get the Heisman Trophy. Of course, this season was no different with Fernando Mendoza winning the Heisman. There's a lot of people, Mike and I both included, were like, is he the best quarterback of the season and this year? You can make an argument for yes, you can make an argument for no, nonetheless, he still won the Heisman. But compared to other guys that have won the Heisman and have come really close, is he that guy? And so Mike came up with the idea. We decided to look at the 5 first-round picks of the last few years, including Fernando. We're going to have them ranked, and then Mike has his list of who he thinks would go number 1 if they were all in the same draft class, and then I have mine as well. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. Mike has a little bit of a surprise thrown in there. I think everybody's going to be excited to see it. But let's get into the first thing, though, with Brendan Sorsby out of Texas Tech. This is something that actually broke last week. So for anybody who doesn't know and for anybody who doesn't follow college football as deeply, and especially in the offseason like I do, he is the transfer portal quarterback that Texas Tech paid $5 million to get to start for them in the hopes that he would be the person that could push them over the hump to compete for a national championship. He's coming out of Cincinnati. Cincinnati is actually in a bit of a lawsuit with Brendan Sorsby because there's like $1 million buyout of his contract that they have a bit of an issue with.
Hey, and then what the cat doing?
I have no idea what the cat is doing. That's what I'm wondering. Oh, he's coughing. I think he's trying to throw up.
Oh, well,
He got allergy.
He must see who I put last on our list.
He might be. He got allergies real bad. It was rough for him.
It happens. It's that
But
time.
anyway, Sorsby's career started out at Indiana, where he was a 3-star redshirt freshman quarterback. And that's actually when he started betting on college football games, was while he was at Indiana as a redshirt. So he didn't see any action. He bet on his team. So it's not necessarily like he bet against them, and he didn't have any direct effect towards the outcome of the game overall. However, still violates NCAA rules because he bet on the team. And essentially the NCAA rules are: you can't bet on college football or pro football. You can't bet on basketball. You can't bet on baseball, but you can bet on UFC, horse racing, and basically anything else that these college campuses don't host a collegiate version of.
Could you imagine though horse racing in like college? I don't know like how it would work, or like how high schools, because obviously you'd have to recruit them out of high school too. So it's like you would have horse racing in high school. It might be the dopest shit ever. Like I don't know how the Midwest, I don't know how it would work. Have to be a spring sport, how I would imagine. Still a little cold in the spring by the time school gets out. Yeah, man, I know Nikola Jokic would probably be very interested in that.
Man, could you imagine he just quits the NBA, he decides to just go full-time into horse racing?
See, but like I want to imagine it, but like you see these jockeys and you see like everything that goes into that too, and it's like, brother, I'm sorry, you're way too fucking tall to be a.
He's a big dude. Like that horse is not winning no race.
God bless that needs to be a Megatron Decepticon horse, man, because there's no way.
Like it's gonna be a Clydesdale, but Clydesdales ain't exactly known for their speed, man. Like he ain't winning. He's gonna finish the race, but he not winning the race.
One of those Arthur Morgan horses to get that one done, brother. Shout out Red Dead Redemption 2. That was a good game.
But nonetheless, though, so it's tipped off that Brendan Sorsby has this gambling problem. He decides to start to take the first steps, literally, and admits himself into a rehab facility, because the numbers that I've heard over the last couple of weeks is that he's done over 10,000 bets since 2022, in the numbers of upwards of about 20 bets per day. And I just want to clarify, they're not like massive, $10,000 bets. He's not, millions of dollars in debt. They're like 20-cent bets here and there on like how many pitches, how many strikeouts. They said that he did bet on both baseball games as well as college football games. And apparently, here's the other plot twist, Mike, before I get your opinion on this whole situation and what you think of it. Cincinnati was aware of this issue, but never said anything, didn't report it. They came out and said, we would never willingly let a player do this because we want to follow the rules as best as we can. But you knew it was happening.
Yeah.
And you still did it. Sketchy. With all that being said, he did lawyer up, and according to, I don't know how much I want to trust this website, because the name of it is called Bro Bible.
Well,
how much I should trust this
every now and again.
But sometimes, but it is different, and it's one I haven't heard. They do seem to think that he might be able to win back his eligibility for his senior year to play this season. Basically what would happen is the NCAA will have an investigation. Now he'll file an injunction. Now when the injunction happens, there has to be a ruling from the judge, and it has to be fairly quickly. And basically what it seems like they're going to try to do is make this happen, make the NCAA really drag their feet, drag this out. And in the meantime, he's probably going to try to play the season and potentially compete for a national championship. Now, Mike, there's kind of two things that go with this, though, that I want to ask you. So the first one with this, I think you bet a little bit more on sports than I do. I know we have a couple of. I say, I don't bet well. That's why I don't bet very much, because I don't bet well anyway. But it is a little bit of fun if you occasionally do it. I know we have a few people that watch the show and that we're friends with. They bet a lot. But you see a lot of this advertisement in the football games, in baseball and basketball. It's like everywhere. Heck, half of these sports shows are sponsored by, FanDuel, DraftKings, all these different sports bettings. Are we surprised that now it's coming finally to fruition of basically a high profile quarterback? It's accessible on their phones. You can do it pretty much anywhere, just about. Now, some of them have weird geotagging locations, like you can't bet in like some states. Like when I was in California, I couldn't make some bets, and I'm like,
yeah.
really?
Well, like
I can't make a bet here in Cali.
Even U of I did as well as they did in college basketball during March Madness. And if you're in Illinois, you can bet on U of I. And that's like the craziest thing ever. So like
It's
it
nuts.
doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah. But that's my first question though, is what's your thoughts on this? Basically something that somebody probably figured, hey, this is going to happen eventually. Somebody's going to get caught doing this, which, he has. And now it's going to be made a big stink of, even though now everybody retroactively is saying, no, we need to fix this. This is a problem.
Yeah, well, that's college sports in its entirety. We don't have to talk just about gambling. I know the conversation's gambling and everything that comes with DraftKings, FanDuel, wherever you may gamble, it's there. It's available. It's accessible in 2026, whether that's via phone or you go to the casino, whatever. But we've seen this in the past. You are not allowed to profit off of yourself or of other teams. And we've seen that time and time again. We saw that with Johnny Manziel selling jerseys and t-shirts and all this other stuff. And it's like, you're not allowed to have the players' names on the back of the jerseys, or they're not getting compensated for having their names on the back of jerseys because of all these other NCAA rules and violations. But really what it comes down to is only the top can eat, really. And I understand we have NIL deals, so I'm not sitting here feeling bad for anybody in 2026 because there are millions and millions and millions of dollars in this sport. Ask Carson Beck how much he made last year versus how much he's making in the NFL now. But it's definitely kind of like a head scratcher, man, because I'll take it back to baseball. What happened with Pete Rose was a disgrace, and I could beat a dead horse a million times and say that, but everybody already knows that. You know what I mean? But that's just for the sake of argument, where you're going to basically tell me right now that there is a DraftKings casino built into Wrigley Field, but Pete Rose bet that his team was going to win the game, and that wasn't okay. And that's something to me that obviously that has nothing to do with the Chicago Cubs organization, but for Major League Baseball and just sports betting as a whole doesn't make sense to me, because you're basically saying that the league can profit off of this, ESPN and others can profit off of this, but players and coaches cannot partake. And realistically, you're around it every single day. It's like telling me you're a bartender, but you've never had a drink, or you're 20 years sober. Bullshit. You know what I mean? It's bound to happen. And now it did. And I think we've seen it already with the Detroit Lions just a couple years ago and other individuals, but I don't think we've ever seen it to starting quarterback level. I think that's where it's kind of like, damn, but tell me Johnny Manziel wouldn't have got caught up in 2026 if he was playing.
Oh, absolutely. And so here's the thing that everybody has made the argument on, and I see it, but it's also one of those, like, I think it's almost a case by case basis. So the argument they make is, for Sorsby, for example, he was on Indiana. He was like the third string depth guy. Like, he wasn't seeing no action whatsoever. He's making these bets kind of the same as Pete Rose on his team to win. He's not betting against him. The argument is you're privy to more information because you're on the team. You know better if a guy's having like a good day, if he's having a good practice, maybe if he woke up sick, if he's not, is he feeling good? Is he not feeling good? So you're privy to outside information that could potentially help you win betting more than somebody else.
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, though, right? Who's to say I don't know one of these players?
That's what I was going to say, is when you brought it up with ESPN, NFL, MLB, whoever, these companies that are able to profit off of that, you mean to tell me that they, take Fox, for example, they have Jay Glazer, he does all of their reporting, Adam Schefter, whoever you want to pick for your, sports reporting, who talks to the players, gets these injury reports, everything like that. You mean to tell me that you don't have inside information before you make the bet? Like, and here's the thing too, like some people, like you said, maybe the player, maybe you just hear a rumor and it's like, okay, nobody else knows this.
You want to tell me Diana didn't know? Never mind.
No, she didn't know. No,
we're not. You going to tell me she didn't know every time AJ Brown farted in Tennessee? Let's be on.
Never.
It's okay.
That's okay. But it is a weird thing, and And here's the other thing I'd say too. Like you said, it's like if you're a bartender and you're around alcohol constantly, it's like, what else do you expect me to see or do? It's the same with the sports gambling. It's like every single commercial. Oh, this segment's brought to you by this. This, is sponsored by the, like, it's everywhere.
It's
Like
exhausting.
you can't put it out everywhere and then be like, no, they're gonna behave.
Yeah.
Like they're 18-year-old kid. Like, like you said, they're making millions of dollars. So I don't exactly feel bad. But at the same time, it's like anybody of any money, it's like, nah, I want to make some bets. Like,
Kind of like,
want some free money.
You know what really pisses me off? I hate when you'll see like an ESPN commercial for sports betting or FanDuel or DraftKings, whatever it is. I'm not trying to, nitpick one or the other. They're all terrible because they all end with gambling addiction. Call this number. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
And they speed through it, or they put it in like super teeny tiny letters at the very end of it for like 5 seconds.
It's like if a guy sold you crack and then was like, hey man, but if you ever want to talk about anything, just let me know. All right. What the fuck? You just sold me crack. That doesn't even make sense. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Like, it actually may be a bad comparison, but I feel like it's not that far out. It's like the warning labels on beer and cigarettes. Cigarettes is like, hey, this could cause cancer. Ain't nobody reading those. Everybody knows.
You remember for you. Man, probably 10 years ago. I don't know if they still do it, but I never smoked. But I used to go to the gas station every morning, buy some gummy bears. I loved gummy bears, man. It was my favorite thing. And you would go to the gas station, you would see the packs of Newports or whatever it was, and you would see like pictures of lung cancer and like pictures of like on the boxes. And they thought that was working. And I'm like, you understand that people buying these have probably been chiefing for about 40, 50 years. Like they're good. They don't give a fuck. And then the other ones are 16-year-old, 17-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids. I mean, bro, they don't think they're going to get that stuff. You know what I mean? There's a middle ground where somebody somewhere might look at that and go, oh, but normally that's me holding gummy bears going, oh, like I just came in for the bears, man.
Right. Da bears. But no, it is crazy when I was hearing it, and it's like, oh, now they have to get rid of his eligibility. They're, it's going through all this huge mess, and it's like, again, some of these dudes, 18 to 22 years old in college, like one, you're going to make mistakes in life, and is it unfortunate that in this particular instance, you're all but treated like an employee because you make millions of dollars to play this. And realistically, you are going to try to become an employee for a professional organization like the NFL. But it is crazy that it's like, no, you can't participate in that like millions of other people. And that to me is what I think is probably the craziest part is, hey, here you are, you have access to like hundreds of millions of other things that everybody else can't have access to, except gambling. You can't gamble.
Yeah,
like that's absolutely nuts to me. But we'll see how that goes as far as his whole eligibility, whether or not he'll play, whether he won't play.
Tony, before we continue, can we just shoot the shit for a second? I want to talk to you about something that I'm listening to every word you say, but I'm also like checking our socials, checking who's sharing the live. You ever post something and then some random page will be like, send me this post. Hey, send me this post. Send me this post. And I'm just like, what the fuck do you want with this post? Why? Why would I send you this post? It doesn't even fucking make sense. And one time I even did send them the post. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. They got hella followers. If they post my stuff, that's awesome. Then they're like, all right, cool. Send me some money and I'll post it. And I was like, well, I thought $10. That's not what you said, though. You said, send me this post. And I sent it. Now you're asking me, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. I get it all the time. I got it more on my Instagram than I did anything else.
Yeah, literally on Instagram just now, just when I saw it.
Like constantly. Yeah. I usually, it's like, hey, send me this. Okay. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. If you send me like $10, I'll post it to like 5,000 followers. Oh, okay. Cool.
Hey, but you have 60,000 followers. What the fuck? Why don't I get all? No, just 5.
Yeah, just 5,000.
For an extra $5, I'll send it to 6.
Right. Like the math is not mathing.
Come on, brother.
Not a fan.
Hey, man, but if it's working. I ain't hating on your hustle. Just stop messaging me.
right. Because hey, the people that do it, they'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll get my follower count up. Even if they're like bot accounts, it don't matter. It don't matter.
It do not matter.
Getting where I gotta go. But nonetheless, though, we'll move on to the biggest part. And I think what I think is going to be the most fun is the who would really go number one overall if they were all in the same draft class.
Yeah.
So we went as far back as 2022. This is currently how it stands right now as far as chronological order. Fernando Mendoza went this year. It was Cam Ward last year. It was Caleb Williams the year before that. Bryce Young, and then Trayvon Walker, the only non-quarterback on this entire list, because not very often that a non-quarterback goes number one overall, but he was the guy that drew the short straw as it were.
Duval.
Yeah, Duval. So awkward. Just so flipping awkward. But Mike, do you want my list up first, or do you want your list up first?
Oh, it's your show, buddy. I'd love to see your list first.
Okay, we'll do my list first. Yeah, so let me share this image here.
What year was Walker, by the way?
Continues to have allergies. It's 2022.
2022 draft class. I'm just curious to see who they passed up on.
I say because I think they had already drafted Trevor Lawrence in the year before.
They took him over Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
Kavion. How do you say
Thibodeau?
How do you say Kavion? Yeah, Thibodeau.
Thibodeau. Derek Stingley.
Yeah, Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley going third is crazy. Actually, we didn't have a single quarterback go in the top three in 2022. Actually, a quarterback didn't go
until number 20, Kenny Pickett.
What a terrible class.
Dude, it was a rough class because this is the one, if I remember right, this had no, it was a different class. Never
mind. A lot of it had to do with like the COVID eligibility stuff.
Some of the COVID and just that quarterback class as a whole was really, really weak. I think Sam Howell came out of that class. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember him coming out. I was like, "Woof!"
Shout out Sam Howell.
It was. Yeah,
I forgot. Was it Ray? Was it Ray that was a Redskins fan or a Commanders fan? And I was talking to him about it, and I was like, "Man, look, after Trubisky came out of North Carolina, I'd never touch any quarterback that came out of North Carolina." And he was like, "It's different, bro." And I was like, "It's not, bro. It's not." And it wasn't.
Malik Willis also came out of that draft class.
Hey, starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, or the better quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, now with the Dolphins. Man. Did you see him throw out the first pitch the other day at a baseball game?
It was so bad.
So bad.
But you did get other big names. You had George Pickens out of that draft class. You had Alec Pierce. Mm-hmm. You had Kenneth Walker come out of that class. You had Christian Watson, albeit he's the enemy. He was still a part of that.
Fuck that guy.
You had Trent McDuffie come out of that. You had Quay Walker, Jameson Williams,
Olave, I think.
Olave, Wilson, Drake London. So some solid players. Just a Tyler Linderbaum, just a terrible terrible quarterback draft anyway. Nonetheless, though, this is who I have for my list as far as who I think would truly go number one overall.
Yeah.
So I have Caleb mainly because of his versatility. The fact that he was so electric, like when he was put in the right position, he gave you everything that he wanted, and he had the statistics to back it up. Now, the only bad part is, he never won the Pac-12. He lost to Utah like 3 times, and then his last year with USC was kind of rough, but a lot of that was due to injuries and the fact that USC's defense was absolutely trash because Lincoln Riley refused to hire a defensive coordinator for the longest time. But I felt like Caleb was the best upside as far as his overall potential.
Yeah.
After that, I put Fernando. He's your true game manager. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes. We can see he's very well prepared. He led his team to 16-0, won a national championship. I can't take anything away from you as far as that goes.
Of course.
Bryce Young, I put him next mainly because he did make a national championship after that. He had a lot of the tools. Now, I put him at third because he really started to come up short. He came up short in a lot of big games, and it was one of those, I've never really been high on Bryce. Part of it is his height. He's a little bit shorter. He's smaller. And truthfully, I've never been a big fan of Alabama quarterbacks because for how long was Alabama, 3 and 4, 5 stars stacked deep, and they're all first round picks on pretty much every side of the ball. And you have pretty much no choice but to be good in that type of offense and that type of team. So I took that a little bit away from Bryce. Cam, I put at 4th, which kind of hurt because I watched him at Washington State and Miami both. He's one, though, to me, he didn't really reach his full potential. And I don't know if that was he just wanted to be kind of lackadaisical. I don't know if that's he wanted to just not put forth a whole lot of effort or he just didn't care. But they started off so hot. They dropped all those games. They ended up missing the playoffs. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see what Cam Ward would have looked like in a college football playoff setting. So it's like, yeah, I kind of have to dock some points for you there. And then Trayvon Walker, I just kept at 5. Like he's been good for the Jaguars, but it's nothing that really kind of turns my head. It's one of those he's mentioned because he was a number 1 overall pick because of his name, because of the fact he came from Georgia. Mm-hmm. But overall, there's nothing that's like, man, look at Trayvon Walker. It's just, yeah, he's there.
Yeah,
that's about it. So that's kind of my list as far as how I ranked who and why I ranked them where I did.
I like it. I don't hate it at all. I think especially when we're not talking about like who is going to have the best career. I think we're just talking about who in the same draft class we would take. Cam Ward, I feel like if we're talking about who has the best career, I'd actually bump up. I'd bump up higher. But because of what we saw in college, I think he's kind of in that perfect spot because I really wasn't a fan of his game in college. It kind of just looked like high school highlights, and that a big part of that had to do with the talent he had around him or the lack thereof. And then the teams he's going up against, and they were kind of dog shit. And I kind of really agree with everything you're saying. And it's like, you got one guy who won a Heisman. You got another guy who just won a national championship and a Heisman. And then you got Bryce Young, and you're with Saban. You got a lot of playoff experience. I dig it, man. And then there's
and if I remember right, I think Bryce also won a Heisman, if I remember right.
I think so.
Let me say, I'll look it up.
Let's see, Bryce won. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Let's see. He did. He won the Heisman in 2021.
Crazy.
And he did win the national championship in 2020. He was a part of that roster that Mac Jones was on when he was the starting quarterback and won that. So he is technically a national champion and a Heisman winner as well.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Tone, we ready for the list? We ready for the second list?
Ready for Mike's list? I'm ready.
Right. Let's check it out. So here's where I'm at, Tone. And we'll wait as it comes up, but obviously Caleb fucking Williams would be the number 1 guy still taken in this class. I don't care. The kid had ice in his veins in college. Everybody wanted to say he went to USC, so that plays a big role into the talent that you're playing against. And no, what we saw in 2025 was the same thing we saw the year he won the Heisman. And it just tells you everything you need to know. But if we're basing it off of what we saw in college, the guy was making plays that we hadn't seen anybody really make since Andrew Luck,
Luck, kind of Manziel, because Manziel was that real athletic, like roll out, make the weird throws.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that. Obviously with Texas Tech, if I'm not mistaken, with Patrick Mahomes, but it was kind of like a different level of it. It just wasn't Heisman level. So yeah, Caleb number 1. Fernando, I put him number 2. And I'll tell you why. Because I wanted to. No, I'm playing. That's but right. I just think like what this kid was able to do, completely transform an organization, completely transform an entire state from a football perspective, because they have been more productive than the Colts have, and any quarterback that's played for the Colts since Andrew Luck. He has been the best quarterback to play in Indianapolis in the last 10 years. And that is in the NFL and the collegiate level. I said what I said. Argue with your mama. Shout out Andrew Luck, though. I'm not putting him in that category. I think that was exactly 10 years ago. So I think I'm safe there.
He retired. He was still playing in 2016, buddy. He didn't retire until like 2019.
My bad.
I was like, "Woo, buddy."
I stand on it. I still stand on it. Shout out Fernando.
That's fair.
What's Andrew doing nowadays? Nothing.
He's GM of Stanford, actually.
Shout out to
Stanford's football team.
Nico Horner, Stanford. That has nothing to do with the conversation. But number 3, I put Cam Ward. I do think there was a lot of raw talent. I do think there were moments where I was like, this kid could be really good. But again, we kind of talk about the competition that you're playing against. And I hate that argument. But at the time, it's kind of just like you kind of got to go with what you have. Number 4, I put Bryce Young because out of all these quarterbacks, the only team that I actually hate is Alabama. Fuck Alabama. So I put him number 4. But Bryce Young is a hell of a talent, a hell of a player. I'd probably put him higher if he wasn't at Alabama. I would never draft a quarterback out of Alabama, like you said. Number 5, I put a wet chair out of Wet Chair University. I did that because Walker never belonged as the number 1 overall pick ever. And that upset me. And that's no disrespect to Walker, but also fuck Georgia because they're the same colors and not the same colors. They are the same logo as the Green Bay Packers. So I would never draft anybody out of Georgia. Obviously, this is very specific. I am very oriented. I stick to my standards. No one can say otherwise. But yeah, man, it's absolute dog shit. And looking back on it, if we, in hindsight, it's 2020, but Aiden Hutchinson was there, man. And the year Michigan was having too, and that defense was so good with Harbaugh, and it just didn't make any sense. This is a kid, a hometown kid, playing for his college university. I mean, it just it pisses me off to this day that he wasn't a number 1 overall pick. And I would love it even more because then he wouldn't be a fucking Detroit Lion and it wouldn't be my problem.
Right.
Walker would be a Lion and things would be a hell of a lot easier.
Let's see. So I wanted to look up his stats just to see like what
it was a monster season. I remember it being a monster season. I remember it being all about the hype, but I don't remember. I'm going to look up all of his stats.
I was looking up Aiden Hutchinson's and his both.
You want to do Hutch and I'll do Walker?
Sure.
All right, cool. Oh, it's got everything. Okay, so for Walker, started all 15 games in 2021. He was a junior. 37 tackles, 6 sacks, and 7.5 tackles for loss. In 2020, he had 9 games played, 13 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. 2019, 12 games, 15 tackles, 2.5 sacks. Extremely underwhelming.
Yeah. Especially on that defense that was so massively loaded and like really coming into their own as they went on to win 2 back-to-back championships. In 22, well, in 21 and 22, because if I remember right, he did win in 21. So he was a part of that great Georgia group, and it kind of reminds me of, this is going to be a really random poll, but I feel like it makes the most sense. You remember when the Raiders drafted Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama to be on their offensive line, and turned out he was just awful.
He actually was on the Bears for a little bit before he got mono.
Yeah, like. I feel like he was one of those, like, you're a part of the group project that everybody gets an A on.
Yeah.
But it's only because you're a part of that group. Like,
literally,
you didn't contribute a whole lot. You did a little bit, and it's like, everybody gets it.
I will say to that, I did sell myself on that when he did end up becoming a Chicago Bear. And I think a big part of it was just like, bro, wasn't he like 6'7", 6'6", 330 pounds? He's fucking massive, bro. And I was like, he's just a Raider, man. That's the only problem. Like, it was surround him around greatness, and then we didn't surround him around greatness, and then it just didn't get any better. Where is he today? Is he? I'm gonna look up if he's still in the league, but
I don't think so. I think he's long gone.
To get back to what you said, I know you're gonna talk about Hutchinson stats, but I immediately saw a record-setting 14 sacks in 2021 for Hutchinson. That is why the light fell. That is why I just hit my table, because Tony, what the fuck are we talking about? You didn't take this kid number 1 overall.
Yeah. So overall, collectively, for what Trayvon Walker has done in Jacksonville, he's played 63 games. He started 60 of them. He's had 200 combined tackles, 101 solo, 99 assisted, 27.5 sacks, 36 tackles for loss, 1 interception, which was all the way back his rookie's year. And he's had 3 forced fumbles, One of them returned for a touchdown. So underwhelming as compared to the other guy in Detroit, who through that same amount of time, he has 43 sacks. He has 100 QB hits, 44 tackles for loss, 118 solo tackles, 58 assisted. He's played 56 games and started 56 games. He has 5 interceptions, and he has 8 forced fumbles, 5 fumble recoveries. That's just in the NFL. And on the collegiate level, he played in 43 games. He had 18 and a half sacks with Michigan. His last year, he had 14 sacks to end his career with Michigan, 3 pass deflections. He had no picks and 2 forced fumbles. So it is crazy when we look back on it, what Jacksonville could have had they decided to go with Aiden instead of going more for the, the big flashy, he's coming from Georgia. He's coming from a championship pedigree team. It was an absolutely stacked and loaded defense. And this is probably going to make a lot of Michigan's fans mad, and I don't really care. But when you looked at that Michigan team, there were other good key pieces on that, but Aiden was the absolute star that stood out above everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I'm an NFL team and I'm looking at it like, okay, I have Georgia, who they all have great players, theoretically you shouldn't miss theoretically. Or I've got a kid that while he is surrounded by other good pieces, he's the star out of those good pieces. So who do I pick? I'm going to pick the guy who's a star out of the other good pieces, because theoretically he's used to doing more with less as compared to the guy who just kind of benefited because he was on a team of greats. And while other guys are getting double teamed, he's kind of free. And even then, he didn't have that crazy of stats.
No,
it's
kind of like we my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good, buddy.
I think it was a great analogy when we kind of talked about what Fernando's impact was when he transferred to Indiana, because you look at Cam Ward and it's like, well, there's nothing really there, but he's a good talent. And then you look at Fernando and it's like, there's nothing there, but he's there. And then you look at Bryce and it's like, this is a prestigious organization. They win championships, and he's the starting quarterback of that organization. But what does he do? Now, mind you, he won a Heisman. I'm not going to discredit that. But it's like, what did he do to truly blow it out of the water when you pair him up next to other Heisman winners, such as Fernando, such as Caleb? Because that's like the ultimate question for me. Did Cam win a Heisman? I don't think.
Yes, Cam did win the Heisman.
Cam did win the Heisman. Beautiful.
I wasn't sure actually, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. Travis won it. Travis won it. He was a Heisman finalist, but you're right. He did not.
And by the way, shout out to the greatest Heisman finalist, Diego, because I've heard that 37 times this week, and it's only Tuesday. Guy loves to let you know he was a Heisman finalist. Do you know one time I was in 3rd grade and I almost won our home run derby? I was a finalist. I was a finalist in 3rd grade, Tone. I was low key raw. Just because we're talking about things we almost did. You know, I went to college 3 different times.
Can you tell me how many girls you pulled with the being the runner up in the home run derby?
Come on, man. We can't talk about that now. Let's just say 6, 7. No, I'm kidding. No, how old was I in 3rd grade? I didn't even like girls in 3rd grade.
You had to be like 8 or 9.
All I cared about was fucking Pokemon, and that was it.
Hell yeah. Ours. So I'm going to kind of date myself here a little bit. 3rd grade is about when Yu-Gi-Oh really started to take off here, like in the US. So we were all about Yu-Gi-Oh back in the
we were Pokemon. Back in the day. Bakugan was my shit. Oh
yeah,
they were so cool. You get the card, boom, throw it on the thing. But it was like you could never like really throw it because then it would like fly off the thing. But
yeah. But no, it is crazy, and I will say too, it's one of those. I didn't like Bryce, 1 because he's from Alabama, 2 because he's a quarterback from Alabama.
Yeah.
But it is crazy, and 2, I think the other thing that also makes me dislike Bryce, and I think it shows for a lot of these quarterbacks as they come in. And this is where I think it also makes the difference for Caleb, is even when he didn't really have a whole lot of support, Caleb still managed to make stuff happen. It was ugly. It was not great. There was still stuff that needed to be fixed. Obviously, they finally got it fixed with Ben Johnson and all the pieces and everything that he brought to Chicago with him. For Bryce, I feel like he's never had that ability so far to bounce back. And now they're finally giving it to him. So it'll be interesting to see, does Carolina truly view him as the long-term future, because they've benched him. They let Andy Dalton become the starter for a little bit. He's had to come back and fight, which I'm going to be honest, to me, and I could be wrong, because I mean, Sam Darnold proved us wrong. To me, that kind of spells doom for a first-round quarterback, especially a franchise quarterback. If you they threw you to the fire, you sucked because they put absolutely nobody, like your best weapon was Adam Thielen at the end. Like that's a terrible thing to do to your franchise quarterback. Like, here you go, buddy. Just here's some broken toys. Make it work.
It was like when we had Chase Claypool, and I was like, poor Justin.
Right. Like Justin Fields, perfect example.
Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool. You're just like, fuck.
Like this is all he's got. This is what you're giving him, and you expect just magic to happen.
Yeah.
And the bad part is Justin was good enough. He still made stuff happen. Like, it didn't always equate to wins.
Dude, I was watching
but he made stuff happen.
2022 Justin Fields highlights the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Man, bro. Like, hey, look, I'm happy where I am. I'm happy. But sometimes you go through memory lane and you're just like, what a time. What a time it was. That kid was the only reason to turn on a Bears game on Sundays.
So here's the other question that I think I've asked you, and maybe you've been asked before.
Yeah.
And again, I know you're happy, and I feel like realistically it would be a win-win no matter what. But if you put Justin Fields on the Bears team that you've had since 2025 to now, do you think the success is about the same, better, or worse?
I don't think it's nearly the same. And I mean that with all due respect, because I was the biggest Justin Fields believer. I still love Justin Fields, and I wish him nothing but the best. But I'll tell you what, that final play in the fourth quarter, the Bears are down, fourth down, and Caleb runs 15 feet backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Justin Fields would have did the same thing. He would have tried to get out. He would have ran out the pocket. But the difference is Caleb knew not only exactly where his guys were, but he knew he could make that throw to win that game, and he never doubted it. Justin, where he was, I think as a Chicago Bear mentally, he would have tried to run somewhere. You know what I mean? Run to the end zone, try to just Madden joystick his way into the end zone. He wouldn't have thrown the ball. And I just think we've seen that with him in Pittsburgh. We've seen that with him in New York. And that's not going to change. Caleb Williams is the greatest thing in Chicago since a baptized Portillo's beautiful Italian beef. Like there's no other way around it. And I mean that truthfully. And me and you we sat here when Justin Fields got traded on St. Patrick's Day. We were in a live, and I was very emotional about it. One, because it was St. Patrick's Day, and two, because it was just, I hated it. I grew up loving the kid. I still love the kid. I don't mean to turn this into a long tangent, but like, that's the moment I knew what a real quarterback was, when I watched the Bears come back and become the cardiac Bears throughout this season. Because in my lifetime, Jay Cutler was good. Jay Cutler, I would even say Jay Cutler sniffed greatness. But I had never seen a Bears quarterback do what I saw Caleb Williams do in 2025. And it don't matter. He don't give a fuck of what my opinion is. But he earned my respect the entire way. Even prior to this season, when he got sacked over 60 times in 2024. That kid's got fucking balls, man. That kid's crazy.
And especially for the initial reports, his dad and everybody, we don't want to come to Chicago. We don't want that. And then he had to come back and say, no, That's not true. And all the hate that he got for painting his nails.
Well, here's can I tell you something too? We can talk a little bit of baseball on here that I find very interesting. Rock Chalowski at UCLA, now currently the shortstop in college baseball, consensus #1 overall pick, according to many people throughout the league. The Chicago White Sox have the #1 overall pick. And I'm listening to 670 The Score last night, and you hear them talking about how reports are trickling out that Rock might not want to be a Chicago White Sox, and he might actually tell them, don't pick him. There's conversations that he doesn't want to be a part of the White Sox. I would tell Rock Chalowski this: go watch the Chicago Bears from 2020 to 2023. Go watch those games. Then go watch Caleb Williams against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. Then go watch him play against the Rams. And not just watch the game, look around. Look at the fan base. The Chicago White Sox have been historically dog shit for the last better half of a decade, lost the most games in Major League Baseball history. I understand that maybe there's rumors and speculations that he doesn't want to be here. Caleb Williams had those same rumors and speculations, even though we had never heard from Caleb Williams or his camp that he didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
I would say watch what happens when you win the city over. Because when you win the city over, you have not only your next contract where you'll be set for life, but you have the city of Chicago eating out of the palm of your hand. So take notes from Caleb Williams, guys like Pete Crow Armstrong, who, even though Pete hasn't really won an MVP or won a World Series with the Cubs yet, you see how he embraced the city and they embraced him right back. And winning that series in October last year in the playoffs and making it to the NLDS, what that meant for the city and how they supported him. That's what I would say right now. I don't know what it is about guys not wanting to come play in Chicago or the rumors trickling out, but it's bullshit. I am a diehard Cubs fan. I got my Mo Baller t-shirt on right now, and I'm telling you, Rock Chalowski is going to be a Chicago White Sox, and he would be an idiot not to. But I hate that stuff, that narrative tone of like guys saying, oh, like it kind of trickles out, and I feel like it all starts with the agents.
Yeah.
But it's just like, get the fuck out of here, bro. You're coming. You're the #1 overall pick. You're not going to delay your free agency. You're not going to delay your draft. You're not going to potentially fuck up who's coming in next year, because if you're a quarterback this year and you say, oh, I'll go next year, Arch is going next year. So you're automatically not the #1 guy. I don't know. What do you think, Tone? Is that smoke and mirrors, or do you think like when you hear stuff like this, there's validity to it?
I think there might be some. And here's why I say that, because you got to think about it. In every major league, as far as whenever you have a #1 overall pick, it's usually because your team was absolutely awful. And so from the get-go, you're potentially going into a really bad spot if you're the #1 overall pick. And so from the get-go, you're having to climb uphill. And I think for some, they might look at it like, man,
oh my God, I just saw my dad.
Did you see mine too?
Yeah, they're holding hands.
Aw. Stop it. But I think part of it is, if you're not from the Midwest, and especially if you go to college at like UCLA in California, where the weather's always nice, it's warm, it's, the West Coast vibes are completely different from anything else. And then it's like, hey, you got to go to the Midwest. You got to go to Chicago. Yep. Like, man, it's different. It's cold in the Midwest. Like, it's a whole different type of culture. It's a whole different type of people. But like you said, though, and I think that might also be almost scary, because you think about it, once you pass the Mississippi River, for the most part, with the exception of like a few, a few teams, like Texas is diehard, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Iowa, like those are all super diehard fans. And I'm probably even missing some other really diehard fans of, local or professional teams, west of the Mississippi River. But once you get past that on the east side of it, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, even some Florida teams, Alabama, LSU, for example, the East Coast, like Philly and New England, those are all diehard areas. Like you said, if you embrace the area, if you do really well, you are going to be absolutely praised for it. Now, if you suck, you are 100% going to hear about it. If you
suck,
play
you suck.
terrible, like you are absolutely going to know it when that happens.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's maybe part of it, because realistically, you look at everything else. Like if I'm looking at it economically, it's cheaper to live in the Midwest than it is on the East Coast, on the West Coast.
Oh, I had something for you, by the way.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw it into the show, but I got to find it.
I did want to point out too, though, because I do think it's cool that Caleb started to do this, and so did the baseball player whose last name I can't remember that you said that also sounds like I would butcher it in a heartbeat.
Rock Chalowski.
What they've done, and I think you posted this video of, you notice if you go to a Bulls game, who's there? Caleb and him. You know, if you go to like a Cubs game, who's there in the stands?
Yeah.
Them. Like they do realistically, like if you look at LSU as well, if you look at Lane Kiffin, like the women's basketball team and vice versa, like all of those sports support each other. Like they're all deeply connected and deeply interrooted of like, hey, our entire athletic department is going to support each other. Like all these big names, all these big people are going to be around these sports to show our support.
Yep.
And I feel like Caleb and Rochowski doing that same thing for Chicago just kind of embraces that. Like, hey, you know, could Caleb realistically be like, nope, I just play for the Bears. Like I love Chicago, but I'm not doing anything else.
And like there's a thin line, because if Rock Chalowski, the consensus #1 overall pick, comes to the White Sox this year, I would love to see Caleb Williams, even as a Cubs fan, I would love to see Caleb Williams, Modest Buzelis, Connor Bedard all go to his games, see his major league debut, see him get his first hit his first home run, first Sox win. That would be incredible, because I support Chicago. I think it would be incredible for that to happen the same way that they've been supporting each other. I left out a key name. I do not want to see Pete Crow Armstrong go to Rock Chalowski's first game. I want this rivalry to ignite again. It's going to be really exciting. Next week, we have Murakami and the White Sox versus Alex Bregman and the Chicago Cubs, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun for the Crosstown Classic this year. The White Sox are hot. The Cubs have won 12 straight home games. This is going to be an away series. I would love to see a rivalry brew between the Cubs and Sox again, because it's well-deserved. It's well-needed. It's fun when both of these teams in this city are fun. It's my favorite part. I mean, I remember the Chris Sale versus Jake Arrieta game in 2016, and it was the craziest fucking time in the world, because the Sox were still decent and the Cubs were going on to win a World Series. And Chris Sale actually ripped up a Sox jersey with scissors and got traded shortly after that. But that was awesome. He didn't like the jerseys. He was like, fuck it. And he grabbed scissors and just ripped it up. And Jim Cross and I actually interviewed the player they called up to replace Chris Sale that very next day, which was pretty cool, because they like suspended him or something. But the point of that was, I like you said, I would love that. And that's like, oh man, like Chicago for years and all of its sports teams have just been in the dog days. And then you get Connor Bedard, and then you get Caleb Williams, and now PCA is turning into an all-star before your very eyes. Then you have Modest Buzelis. Then you're bringing in Rock Chalowski at some point, and you're starting to see the transformation of what years of terrible play will get you, and it gets you those star premier players. And I just couldn't be happier, even for Sox fans, to get a guy like that, because it's a hell of a lot of fun, man. But I did want to share something before we get out of here. State income taxes. Top NFL draft picks will pay. This is Front Office Sports on Instagram posted this. Fernando Mendoza will be paying $0.00 in income tax. David Bailey will be paying $5.7 million in state income tax. He went to the New York Jets. Fernando, by the way, to the Raiders, if you're sleeping under a rock. Jeremiah Love will be paying $1.3 million in Arizona with the Cardinals. Carnell Tate will be paying $0 in Tennessee with the Tennessee Titans. And then Arvel Reese will be paying $4.7 million to pay for the New York Giants. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Giants and the Jets both play in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They're both named after the New York Jets. So I'm just very curious to why the state income tax would be different, but I do think it's because their salaries are different from 2 to 5, but it's a hell of a lot of money just from that difference. But I thought it was very interesting, Tone, that the #1 overall pick and the number 4
4.
overall pick
Yeah,
will
number
be
4.
paying $0 in state income tax after signing the biggest contracts of their life.
Yeah. Same with Florida, no state income tax. Texas, no state income tax. Like,
You notice it's always the places where it's nicer to live too. I don't.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, welcome to fucking Idaho. Welcome to Chicago, where it's 8 months out of the year is negative 10 degrees, and you might get shot. Who knows? And it's like, you might wake up, your catalytic converter's gone. It's also negative 5 degrees outside, and the negative wind chill of 15. You're like, okay. Oh, and the bus is down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I did want to add one real quick thing because we
the
news broke. I think it was either yesterday or today, and I was kind of upset about it. Can we ask what's going on with the Chicago Sky? Because they decided to trade Angel Reese, and then they released my girl Haley Van Lith. Like,
nope.
What the hell, Chicago? What the hell?
Nope.
They're just like, nope, we done. We out.
Nope. Won't talk about it.
Won't talk about it.
Won't talk about it. Tone, I love you. Won't talk about it.
I know. This dude is. I'm like, what happened? Y'all were all good, and then they're like,
nope. Won't talk about it. I am officially a Phoenix Mercury fan. I will follow Kalia Copper wherever she goes. And that's it. That's it.
That's fair.
Won't talk about it. Will not.
All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate you being coming on. It's fun as always. Hope everybody enjoyed. If you liked everything that Mike had, check Mike out at the Shy Kid on all of his social media. If you like what I have, you can check out Inside the Hoosier Mind on all social media. Also, make sure you check out Military Broadcast Radio, all of our great other veteran DJ hosts. Awesome with a ton of life advice. There's other sports guys. There's life advice. We have MJ, who also likes to do a lot of things on energy and a lot of positive, body positivity and a lot of, more holistic things.
Nice.
And then, of course, if you want great beard stuff, check out Gunfighter Beard Co. out of South Carolina. Help get your beard all nice, get all pretty. Like I said, all made here in the US of A, shipped from the US of A. Absolutely great. But appreciate everybody tuning in. We will see y'all later as we continue on in the off season for college football and the NFL. We will see y'all later.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.